Well, I'm back again. Just want to apologise. It took a long time to kind of get out here. So much happened between the last time I did a video in January to now. My laptop completely fried on me, and unfortunately for me, I have a laptop with PC World, and if anyone knows about PC World and the tech guys, or whatever they like to call themselves these days, know how and how god awful that service is, you'll understand my frustrations with them. So if I were you, buy a laptop or PC from someone else. Don't go to PC World, people. And in that time of trying to get this fixed and that fixed and whatnot, what happened? Quentin Rampage Jackson acted like he had bipolar on Twitter, and that's something I want to talk about later on. Nick Diaz is suspended, surprise surprise. Sheamus beat Daniel Bryan in 18 seconds and everyone was outraged by it. The Rock and John Cena eventually wrestled, and they did well considering all the factors that come into it. Undertaker and Triple H had their end of an era match at WrestleMania, and that was great, and I did enjoy WrestleMania, by the way. What else went on? And then there was Alistair Overeem, which, listen, and I'm a big Overeem fan, so it's quite hard for me, but are you surprised? Am I surprised? Being a fan of pro wrestling, being a fan of MMA, nothing surprises me when it comes to wellness and drug testing and medical clearances. Nothing surprises me at all, to be honest with you. And to be honest with you, it's been like every 2 weeks MMA fighter fails a drug test or something to do with TRT. It's just been crazy. But I want to go back to a video I did a while ago, and I just want to address this very quickly before I talk about what I want to talk about, and that's Zack Ryder. I had a video about the WWF Attitude Era and the PG era, and one of the people on the comment section of that video was going back and forth with me for a little bit, and I always appreciate going back and forth and interacting with people. I encourage that. I think that's one of the things that needs to happen more, and people shouldn't be scared to do that. But he kept telling me how I was wrong on one point about WCW, because I said that WCW during a point at the Monday Night War era, during the Monday Night Wars, was a PG product, and it was a PG product and was successful, and he kept telling me I was wrong no matter how many times I kept telling him. So I've got a source that I just want to read before we get started on this, and funnily enough, it's an edition of Power Slam magazine from our good old friend Finley Martin, and there's an article called Number Crunching, and I just want to find the quote. Actually, I better just read it to you. And it was talking about the problems with the WWE right now and where it's going right now, and it talked about things like the UFC and the PG rating, and I just want to touch on this because this was one of my various sources for why I said what I said. Now, it talked about some have blamed WWE's decline on its PG rating, a switch voluntarily embraced in order to bag deals with Mattel and other sponsors and partners, and the resultant ban on the blade and more violent content. Now, if I go down, it talked about how it's affected matches like Hell in a Cell, which is true, and how the writer Finn Martin was convinced that had this PG rating not gotten in the way, the Hunter versus Orton match, which was boring at WrestleMania 25, could have been saved because they would have been allowed to do certain things under the TV14 umbrella. Anyways, now this is where one of my many sources comes from, and I just want to point this out. It says here, looking at the big picture though, WCW was rated PG during its late 1990s glory days. The New World Order, Sting, Goldberg and the Cruiserweights all found a way to entertain the masses without swearing or running a razor blade across their foreheads each night. There you go. The WWF used... well, actually, I don't need to read that point. But anyways, there's my source. Do with it what you want, but that backs up the claim that I said in my previous video. Now, let me get my cup of tea. Pretty dry. Okay, so I wanted to talk about Zack Ryder and the push that he has been getting for the last couple of months, and why I feel that it's, I don't know if I want to use the word failed, or why I want to say there's a problem with it, but there is a problem with it. The Zack Ryder push as it stands right now is not destined or not leading to success. When you think about how he's presented and how other guys have been presented and how he should be presented, and you think about the storylines he's been involved in, you can kind of see where I'm going to go with this. Zack Ryder, for all intents and purposes, is booked like a comedy character. He is presented as an idiot. He's not presented as tough. He's not presented as a man. He's not presented as someone with a spine or a backbone that stands up for something. He is presented as a naive, gullible, stupid idiot. And how am I supposed to cheer for that? And I want anyone from the WWE, and they won't, to come out and debate with me as to why that this is a great idea, what they've been doing with him. How are we going to cheer for him? Now let's go all the way back, and I'll tell you what it was with him that got over with me. When he did those YouTube videos, it showed a lot of initiative. It showed another kind of creative side of him, and using the resources that he had. He was wrestling on Superstars, not Raw or SmackDown, but wrestling on Superstars, but he used the social networking to create a fan base and make himself a merchandise seller. And it eventually got him back onto TV and pushed. Fans demanded it. And I think about the push they gave him. He's always booked to lose. He's not put in an He's not put in a position where he's supposed to advance. Every match he's in is either 2 or 3 minutes, and he loses very quickly. If you watch, and I'm trying to think when it was. Towards the end of the year, they seemed to be getting it right, and this is the end of 2011. They started to listen when the fans demanded, "We want Ryder." And Survivor Series, when he came out to make the save and get Dolph Ziggler, there was a very, very positive reaction from the audience. And then he had the feud with Dolph Ziggler and won the title, the US title. And the fact that it seemed to, the way that he sold it, like the US belt meant so much to him, and he beat Dolph Ziggler on pay-per-view for the US title, and it was given a lot of time. It actually seemed like some progress was being made, and they were on their way to building another star. And then they put Eve Torres in the mix, okay? They put Jack Swagger in there, and Swagger beats him in 2 weeks after winning the belt. And then Kane just frigging kills the guy every time on TV. And everything they've done with him since has made the guy look like a complete and utter idiot. So Kane has come out on TV and said he's going to whip his ass and do whatever he wants to him and everything like that. You think a man in a wheelchair with his, you would just think that he would know better. If you're thinking about logic and writing something logically, it doesn't add up. Then you add in the Eve Torres angle, and God, I want to talk about that. So they put Eve Torres in with Zack Ryder, and you think, yeah, maybe this is to kind of, add something to the Zack Ryder package. So he asks her out. She says no. He asks her out again. She's like, oh, okay. He can't fix a tyre, which makes him look like an idiot when he's getting chased by Kane. She eventually gets off with John Cena in front of Zack. She then comes out and does this heel promo and officially becomes a heel. You think, alright, now they're going to have a verbal warfare. I would kind of see it similar to when Jericho and Trish Stratus had that storyline. Maybe he'll go there. Maybe he'll be a man and we can cheer for him. Because that's what us men want to do. We want to cheer for people who actually have a backbone and spine and stand for something. So after she cuts this heel promo and basically says that she's using Zack Ryder and John Cena and all of this, And then Ryder comes out and does his "I'm glad we never hooked up, broskies before hoskies, woo woo woo, you know it." And fans cheered, ha ha ha, he called her a hoskie. And then 2 minutes later she runs up and kisses him, and he's like a little geek, like, oh my god, she kissed me again. And I'm thinking, way to go WWE, you have now killed another guy. So he looks like a complete and utter geek, even though this woman has come out and said to him, you know, "I'm using you," to his face. She kisses him, he's all excited like a little 16-year-old boy. He asks her out, she doesn't show up to any of the dates. What, 6 times, 7 times, 8 times, 9 times? It's acknowledged on TV. It's acknowledged on TV that she's a heel and everyone else doesn't like her. Yet, yes, the great and mighty Cena is allowed to trash her and look like an actual man, but Zack Ryder absolutely not. Is made to look like a complete geek. He's pairing up with her at WrestleMania. You'd think, okay, at WrestleMania she needs to get her comeuppance then, in some way. Because he's been made to look like a fool and get humiliated, for the last 8 weeks. So WrestleMania happens, she gets in there with him, she distracts him, costs, Team Teddy the match, and then she kicks him in the balls in front of everyone in WrestleMania, and yet again, Zack Ryder looks like the biggest geek in the world. I'm thinking, in a perfect world, and we don't live in one, if she's just costing the match, Zack Ryder should take the house mic and completely trash her. Let him actually lead with something for a change, rather than, look like a complete idiot. And then he comes out the next night on Raw, and you think that there's going to be some follow-up, and they're actually going to build to like a, another female comes in the picture, and maybe there's like the team of her and Miz versus Zack Ryder and whoever he's got with him. No, not at all. He loses the next night, then he gets destroyed by Alberto Del Rio. And right there, you know that now his overness is starting to be affected. He's not as over as he could be. Fans have not embraced him in the way that they could have. And a big part of it is because of the stop-start treatment that they always undertake. And the second part of it is, how can we cheer for someone who is that stupid and that idiotic and who doesn't have a spine? And it's just, once again, there's a role for someone like Zack Ryder, and they're not going to do it. And also, he's not booked in matches where he's allowed to have good matches and showcase his skills and his abilities, so he can somewhat get over in that way too. He's just presenting in these comedy squash matches where he looks like a geek and has no backbone. Anyways, I feel a bit rusty. Write some comments. Tell me what you think of anything I've said about Zack Ryder. Tell me anything you have enjoyed. And also, before I get going, I want to do a Q&A video. Start sending me some more questions. And hopefully, if I can get enough questions over the next couple of days and weeks, I'll get back and actually do a full-on Q&A video and wear some glasses and a smart tie. No, just kidding about the tie. Anyways, write some comments and I will hopefully be back very, very soon. Take care.